Hi there, I'm Luke. Welcome out to PhotoBite, and today we're checking out the Vuze XR 180-360. Let's get into it. So with the Vuze XR, it's got some very good video spec. You're looking at 5.7K in this tiny little thing at 30 frames a second. You can also do 4K at 60 frames a second, which is actually really impressive given what it's designed to do. And of course, you've also got 4K at 30 frames, and you can get photos at 18 megapixels as well. But what you've got to bear in mind is that's not just a little square that it's capturing, it's getting it on both sides. So you've got to be able to stretch that image far out, have very wide lenses to be able to capture that, which will be very soft. And those pixels are going to get stretched, warped, so you're not going to get a very finished product at the end. It's going to have some artifacts because of the stretching and the compressing. So for a handheld, it's not bad if you're viewing it on a small mobile device. If you go to a computer or go into goggles, that's when you're going to start seeing some issues. But in terms of just capturing content, it's a good way to actually have something that's handheld. You can go out and you can use it. You've got 1 hour of battery life from the 1200 milliamp battery, which isn't half bad. You can charge it up via USB-C and it records onto a micro SD. You would say get a very fast micro SD because it does take on 120 megabytes a second, so you don't want a slow card in here, otherwise you will start seeing some jitter, and you could also see it randomly stop recording because it just can't keep up. And one of the perks with the Vuze XR is you can do 3D 180. Which is very convenient in the way that the cameras bounce out and they go in one direction. They capture the subjects at slightly different angles, so you can get that kind of 3D effect. A very interesting approach, but again, we don't see that many people using it. It's just not one of those things that people are in demand for. And that's one of the issues with 360 cameras, is they're not in demand, they're not being pushed. There's no demand to have more 360 cameras. Yes, they're still coming out, yes, they're getting better, yes, the software is improving so it's easier to use them, but at the same time, people aren't rushing out to go and buy them unless they've been after one for a long time, and they want something that they can take and they can actually show that 360 experience. But if you're someone who is just out to get just general video for their family, for themselves, for their subscribers on YouTube or any other social platform, they're not going to rush out to use this. They're going to get a normal action camera or a normal camera in general, and then they're going to go out and they're going to use that instead and then edit, because it's going to be much easier. So 360 video really was promised to be the next big thing. The exact same way they pushed 3D TVs, that was going to be the thing that was going to take filmmaking and the intimate experience through visuals. And with the 360 video, you didn't get that. We didn't have this big build up and big uproar as more manufacturers made 360 cameras. It just didn't happen. And for one of the reasons we would assume is because the actual process of getting the video from your camera onto the internet. Now Vimeo, they took on 3D video, so did YouTube and so did Facebook. So everyone was ready to take on what the cameras could do and send them out there. But the issue was coming down to the manufacturers and their software. And they all had their own way of doing things. They all had different cameras and different layouts and different software. So you had to use that software as a proprietary software. You couldn't just use any software. You couldn't go into Premiere Pro or Final Cut and then just bish bash bosh, throw it together and then throw it out. It didn't work like that. You had to know the software. The software had to be able to understand what you were doing with the 360 video as well, so it could render it out, get it all connected, and then put it through as an actual video sample. And then you have to upload it onto Vimeo, Facebook or YouTube for Facebook and YouTube to then decrease the size of the file even more. So even when this is putting out 5.7K, that's being stretched, it's then being compressed by Facebook and YouTube in order to be able to compile it into something that can be streamable. And that's another big issue. Vimeo, not so much. They try and maintain the quality as much as possible, but with the other two, they do compress it because they're storing so many different videos on their servers, and they don't want a big file taking up too much space. So that is one of the issues with 360 video. It's available to use, but it's not easy to use, and that's one of the major issues. There's plenty of opportunities to go out and film with a 360 video. You can go out on your holiday and you can use it, but the annoying thing is when you've got to then share that experience on the internet. That's where the line gets drawn. That's when you can't enjoy it. And you've also got to start paying for the goggles in order to be able to like actually get a really intimate experience with it. You've got to really look around, and if that someone's moving, going up and down, that can also kind of play with your eyes, and then you start feeling a bit queasy as you're watching it. It happens to some, not with others, but it is an issue that's out there with 360 video. The best ones to view are ones that are left alone and they just stay there, they capture the experience, and that's it. With the Vuze XR, one of the nice things is you can do 180. Now they've taken on the idea of 360 being 2D and then 180 as it is now being 3D, which is a nice approach, but again, you're looking at 3D, another element you got to think about. And that one, again, you're going to need to get a different type of goggles. You're going to need to get accessories to go with the goggles so you can see the 3D effect. It's not just going to work out of the camera on the computer. There's a lot more steps than you are doing it with normal video. Right, bear with me one moment. Glasses back on, it's getting very bright out here. So with the Vuze XR, there's a few issues that you may come across, and one of them is the link with the app. Now, we do want to also point out that they are still working on the app. Every 2 weeks there's an update, so you can update the camera and update the app to constantly improve it. But some of the issues that we found in testing, and we'll show you the screenshot now on the side, and that's the fact that when you're trying to link the camera, it can be a bit of a pain. You've got to go out of the app, link it via the Wi-Fi, go back in, and then it'll connect. You don't just wait for it to connect. The other issue as well is when you want to actually look at your videos, you've then got to go into settings, click Wi-Fi direct, which then uses the Wi-Fi or something to render the video so you can view it. But to do that, you've got to then disconnect the camera, then reconnect it, and then hope that it works. And in our case, it hasn't. It's been very hard to play back some of the videos, in some cases been near enough impossible. One of the other issues that we had as well is when you connect, it will automatically take you over to the video section for you to have a go at doing the video or getting right into the video, which is a nice thing. But the issue with the app is we were trying to get out of it so that we could have a look at our playback, and it wouldn't let us do it. It just wasn't having it. We were pressing it, had to shut down the app, and by that point we've given up. We've been working at it for 5 minutes, and it really was starting to get on our nerves. Now that's not to say it's a permanent issue, that's a software issue. Software can be fixed, all it needs is an update. And when it comes to the usability of the camera, it's very easy. However, there are no screens on it for you to actually view what you're looking at. You have to use the phone, so you've got to get them linked. And in our time of using it, it can be a bit of a complicated mess if you don't understand how 360 cameras work. However, when you're using an action camera, most of them these days have a screen on the back so you can just tap what you want. But with this, you've got to go into the app, choose your settings, and then go on from there. The next one, it could have a screen on the side, but that would involve eating up more battery and getting a shorter recording time, making it bigger to take on a bigger battery in order to maintain those issues. Now, overall, using the 360 camera is very easy, very comfortable to hold. You tend to just hold it up like that, but you will find that your fist will take up quite a large portion of the video going down. But if you're just capturing just general video from like neck level up, it's a perfect way to hold it. We would recommend getting a small selfie stick to hold it out, and you don't want to keep rotating it so it does that when you're using it. You want to try and keep it as still as possible, so that way people don't have to keep looking and then it gets turned, they've got to try and re-look that way. You can get a bit of a mess when they're trying to use it. But in general, it's a fun, very experimental way of shooting video. Definitely something worth trying if you're into 360 video. If you're not, you might want to give it a miss for now until the software improves. But for $399, you really can't complain. It's not a bad piece of kit, it gets the job done. The video does get stretched, and we have spoken about that already, so do bear that in mind if you're looking at getting a 360 camera. This is definitely one to check out. It does also have some image stabilization, so it will control any shakes to try and smooth the video out, which is much better for the viewer when they're having a look at it. So overall, not a bad piece of kit. So if you want to see what this camera can do, we'll leave a link to the video once we get it sorted out through the software, so you can see how good the quality is. You can really see how the camera performs. We might try and include some in this video as well, but since it's 360, we want you guys to be able to see what it looks like in 360. So we'll leave a link in the bottom below. You can check it out and you can let us know your verdict and what you think of the Vuze XR. And that's our review of the Vuze XR 180 360. If you guys got any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Do let us know, do you think 360 video is a dying breed, or is it just ahead of our time? Let us know. And as always, my name's Luke, this is PhotoBite, and we'll see you next time.